Namaste, welcome. I often get asked what yoga poses are the most versatile for those cases when you're pressed for time. And today we're going to explore just that, the poses in yoga that are the most versatile, that work the most muscle groups. And let's start by settling in the Sukhasana with our legs crossed, the easy pose. Always a good idea to employ either the ocean breath as you're doing your yoga practice. You can do it like this. Take a breath in, exhale with your mouth closed, slightly constricting your throat so that your throat makes a whooshing sound. We're trying to semi-snore. Babies sleep like that. Uh, my elementary students call it Darth Vader breath. Yogis call it the ocean breath. Just the soothing sound coming out of your throat. Just give yourself a moment to settle in this kind of breathing. And especially with the forward bends, you would see that this breath comes out of you naturally because your chest is constricted, your throat is constricted. So let's keep breathing like this and settle into the first of the poses for today. That would be the butterfly. So we're going to put the soles of our feet together, grab our toes, let our knees fall very wide apart. You can try to shuffle here and shift and, get your heels as close to your groin as possible. Just make sure that you don't have any discomfort in your hip joints. And you can just stay like this. Close your eyes. Try to stay like this while watching your favorite show on TV. Breathe here. Notice that your knees are getting lower and lower. Your hips are opening wider and wider. You can do this as a stationary pose, or you can add some movement to it. You can start flapping your wings by putting your knees up and down, up and down. You don't need to worry about how big your motion is. You can make big motions if you'd like, or you can just make very small motions. Whatever feels good. You can notice now that some warmth is generated in your hip joints. Feel your knees open even wider. But what makes this pose even more versatile is if we add the front bend to it. We're gonna bend our elbows and try to lower our face as close to our feet as possible. Again, here you have a lot of options. You can make it a yin pose and just spend however much time you need in here. Feeling the gravity do the work. Feeling your lower back lengthening. Feeling your hips opening even wider. You can let go of your toes for a second and stretch your arms forward, palms down on the ground. Don't try to go too far. Just go 10%, 20% into the pose. Make sure that you don't have any acute discomfort in your lower back. And just hang there over your mat, consciously relaxing your shoulders. Letting your connective tissue relax, release the tension that it holds. And you can stay there for however long you want. I'm gonna come out to here and show you what else you can do with a butterfly. I'm gonna come up for a second and then grab my toes and bend my elbows again. And then I'm gonna turn my butterfly into the dynamic Kundalini yoga pose. I'm gonna start bending and coming up without letting go of my toes. I'm gonna start noticing that my elbows are making this very soothing circular motion as I bend and come back up. Again, you don't want to bend too far. I just want to do this exercise for some time. And you would notice, as I am noticing now, that you are actually able to bend further down, that your bends are getting deeper and deeper, and that your lower back is stretching. The beauty of this approach here is that as you're stretching your lower back and your hips, you're also making your shoulders work. You make your neck work, making this a super versatile pose. I'm gonna give it another whirl before coming up. And because I spent quite a bit of time in the butterfly pose, I'm gonna shift from side to side, lowering my knees to the ground just to get rid of any kind of uncomfortable feeling in my lower back. And I'm gonna let go of my toes. And another super versatile pose that you can do is, of course, the cobra. For the cobra, I'm gonna get on my belly and notice how in the butterfly we're bending forward. Right now, we're gonna give our back a nice back bend. So, before coming to cobra, I'm gonna come to sphinx on my forearms, and then I'm gonna shuffle and shift, spending as much time as I need in order to make sure that my pelvis is super comfortable on my mat, that nothing is pressing on my pubic bone. So I'm gonna spread my legs slightly apart, relax them, and then I can get on my palms, make sure that my back is not uncomfortable, I would adjust the position of my arms. Everyone's back is different, so spend as much time as you need looking for a comfortable position. And you can just hold the cobra with your mind's eye, trace the feeling in your hands and in your forearms. Move over to your upper arms and your shoulders. Look at what's going on in your chest. In order to stay in the cobra for a long time, you'll need to pay attention to what your core is doing. So engage your core. To engage the core, yes, of course, you want to pay attention to your abs, but also you want to pay attention to the back muscles, to the muscles in your sides. To try to cinch your waist a little bit to give yourself more stability. And if you're too bored to stay in the cobra for a long time, you can do the Kundalini variation of that, cobra push-ups. Make sure that your palms are supporting you and start lowering your chest onto the mat, making sure that your elbows go sideways and not to the back. Otherwise, it would be hard to lower the chest onto the mat. And I'm gonna keep doing the push-ups for however long feels comfortable. Go at your own pace. If you need to get rest as you're going down, just lay there for a second. And as you're doing the push-ups, just notice how all of your core is engaged here doing some work. Notice that your legs are also doing some work here. So again, the whole body, your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your arms, your back, and even your legs are doing something here, which makes it another super versatile pose. I'm gonna stop doing the Kundalini Cobra. I'm gonna get down to Sphinx on my forearms. And we're gonna explore a couple of things that you can do on your back that are also super versatile, are going to engage a lot of muscle groups in your body. So I'm going to start by getting comfy on my mat, making sure that both of my shoulder blades touch the mat. And then I'm going to slide my hands under my buttocks, and I'm going to lift both of my feet off the ground together with the lower portion of the legs. Lift my neck and look up. Again, here you have a lot of options. You can make it a static pose, or you can make it a dynamic pose. Coming up and going down, coming up and going down. Or you can just lift and hold for however long is comfortable. Or you can lift, hold, and go back to the dynamic version. And again, if you trace your whole body with your mind's eye, you will hardly find any muscle group that's not engaged in either holding, lifting, or lowering. I'm going to give it another hold. Come down. Slide my hands and arms from under my buttocks. Bend my knees. And grab my knees, pull them close to the chest. Again, here I have a lot of options. I can just stay here feeling my sacrum floating in the air above the mat. Feeling my hips opening. If you want to make most of this pose as a hip opener, what you would want to do, you would want to let go of your knees, grab your toes, and roll even further on your back, making sure that the soles of your feet face the sky to get into the happy baby. And that is the ultimate hip opener. So if you feel that your hips are stiff today, that's what you could do. And spend as much time here as you'd like. It's a very relaxing pose. Something you can do before bed, just to let the tension leave the hips. Or if you're in the mood for a dynamic pose, I'm gonna go back to grabbing my knees here. You can make a Kundalini version of this with the head lifts. Look between your legs. And we're gonna lower down on the mat and lift again, simultaneously pulling the knees closer to the chest, trying to crunch ourselves into a ball. And I'm gonna keep doing that. And again, if I trace my body with my mind's eye, I would discover that there are very few places that are not working here. I'm going to do it a couple more times. You can do it for longer. I'm going to come back to lying on my mat with my knees bent. Take a breath here. Make sure that my shoulder blades are back on the mat. And then I'm going to plant my feet very firmly into the mat and lift my pelvis off the floor. I have a couple of options here. I can keep my hands parallel to my body, or I can interlace my fingers under my buttocks and stay here in the bridge. Staying here in the bridge is going to give you a very gentle back bend. If cobras are too intensive for you, this is a good option for a back bend. I can either relax and breathe here in the bridge, or I will unclasp my hands right now, put them parallel to my body to show you that you can turn this into a dynamic Kundalini bridge as well. So you're going to lower and lift, lower and lift. Make sure that your arms stay on the mat. And that's a nice relaxing workout. Again, for your whole body, with the possible exception of your shoulders. Well, they're not getting a lot of action right now, but they do get some, so I can do that as well. Or you can alternate, come up, hold, and then go back to the dynamic version of the exercise. Go about this however you'd like. I'm gonna lower down here. And for those days when you're feeling like you need to clear your head, you can always do a very powerful combination of two poses that are going to be slightly more challenging, but still, as long as we're lying on our back, no reason for us not to attempt this. One is the shoulder stand. The shoulder stand activates your whole body like a lightning bolt. So, in order to get into the shoulder stand safely, we're going to roll on our back again, bending our knees, putting our knees as close to our chest as possible. And then we're going to lift and support ourselves on our hips and stay there for however long you like. If you're just starting, don't stay there for a long time. Instead, try to swing your legs back so that you can come to the plow. And in the plow, again, your whole body gets a nice relief inversion there. If you don't want the plow, you can just come onto your shoulders and just keep your knees as close to your face as possible. That's a good way to practice if you are not doing the plow yet. And from there, we can roll back, come back to Sukhasana. I'm going to turn toward you. And thank you for doing the practice of the most versatile poses in yoga with me. I hope that you have the time right now to just lie down in Shavasana for at least several minutes. Do nothing. Reflect on what your body was just doing. Get in tune with it. Listen to it. So, thank you for doing the practice with me. Namaste.